The pointer's right?
Yeah.
Oh, this.
There we go.
Okay, I'm Lauren Showalter. I'm the program manager for the Gulf of Mexico Research Initiative Information and Data Cooperative. So we're the group that does the data management for all the GRIIDC research that's going on. And we're housed at the Hart Research Institute at Texas A&M Corpus Christi. So I'm going to talk first a little bit about data sharing, why it's so important, and then I'll give a little bit of a walkthrough of how you can come onto our system and see what data we have. I'm not going to do a full walkthrough of our system, but I think the most important for this group would be how to go in and get data and at least see what data we're collecting. So why share data? A lot of scientists have been collecting data and keeping it in notebooks in their drawers for years, and no one ever knows about it, right? So it's really important to share your data and to get it openly available. And GRIIDC is an organization that is mandated by all the researchers' agreements, and it's been a really great opportunity for researchers to come to share their data and use it for larger collaborations to make larger data products. So it's important for new discoveries, to inform policy and planning, allowing people to see that you have data and you're sharing it openly increases public trust and allows citizens to be more a part of the scientific process. So scientific communities, some are better than others at sharing. As you could imagine, the medical and social sciences are usually the least likely to share data. That has a lot to do with laws associated with that type of data as well. And then surprisingly, the basic science, including natural sciences, are the most likely to share their data. And in this study at Oxford, 56% of these researchers that were polled, 56% said they would share. So that means the rest of them were not so into it. The other thing about sharing your data is sharing it soon. As soon as you get it, starting to document your data and making it available as soon as possible. Because as with life, as you move away from an event, you know less about it. You forget the steps you took to make the data or create the product or run the simulation. So the sooner you start documenting your data and sharing it with other people, the better. The more likely you are to get information that you need and have the information you need to share the data. So the major causes of the reduced data availability as we move away from data collection are general data loss. So for instance, you have a graduate student that puts it all on a hard drive and then moves away, and that hard drive is lost forever. As well as old storage media. So how we used to keep data on floppy disks, and those don't work anymore. So having it with a group that manages data is able to has money associated with that and is able to continually move with technology so that we work with changing technology over time. And then ability to generate useful metadata. So metadata, I don't know how much this group will know about metadata, but it's data about your data. It's what you use to be able to, if you download an Excel spreadsheet, so you know that sal means salinity in what units, instead of just trying to decipher someone else's code that they've used for their data set. And so them generating that immediately is really helpful in being able to recreate steps after the fact. So the sooner people share their data, the more likely other people can collaborate, see what other people are doing. You're not duplicating effort as much. You get this improved metadata, and it makes, for the GRIIDC side of things, for what we do, it makes our ability to review what's been submitted much easier and more effective, because we've generally been communicating with the researcher throughout the data lifecycle. So impediments for sharing data, there's a lot. A lot of people don't want to share data because they don't get credit for it. So I had a researcher from one of the newly funded GRIIDC consortia come up and talk to me today, and he was asking how he'll know if someone gets his data and reuses it, and how will they be able to cite him. And he was worried that the data would be used inappropriately, or they wouldn't be able to, they wouldn't use it in the right way, or they wouldn't understand it. So I was explaining to him, metadata and how to document it, as well as we have ways of referencing data. So in the publication world, they've used digital object identifiers for a really long time to be a persistent link to that publication. So we're doing that with data now as well. So people can use your data set, and they can then, you can reference it with this DOI in the paper you use it in, and then it'll always link back with credit to you about that data set. The other things are cost and time are kind of about the same thing, because no one ever budgets enough time or money for data management. It's always going to take a little bit longer and cost a little bit more than you think it will. And especially research scientists, they want to spend all the money out on the ship or running the simulations or running the models, and not the time or money it takes to collect and share the data. And in some cases, the expertise. So writing metadata in the past has been kind of onerous for people, and we've developed a form to try to make that easier for the GRIIDC researchers. But sometimes the expertise of how you document your data, they don't have it, and it's hard, so researchers don't want to do it. So ways to motivate sharing. Sharing being required by funders, so there's this idea of the carrot and the stick, right? So there's the ways we can positively encourage people to share, or the ways they just have to share or they don't get their money. So if it's required by funders, that's good. That makes it, people have to share, because that is how you get your checks to continue to do your research. Another thing that's been on the forefront recently is a lot of publishers have been talking and are making it required that your data is available before they publish your paper. And so that's been really good to increase data sharing and tying it to publications, so that you can read a publication and then go see the raw data that's associated with that publication. Some academic institutions are starting to require that data is openly available. And then the last thing is, what we're trying to do is create a data repository with easy tools and lots of training and help from our staff to make it easy for people to share their data. They can come in, they just have to type in a couple things, and it's ready to go. So that's what we're trying to do to make it easier for them. So GRIIDC has developed this data sharing culture within the GRIIDC family of researchers. We provide a lot of training, so we've done that throughout this entire conference, and a lot of outreach to help people understand data management and not be so scared to share their data. Providing this credit, like I said, the other thing we do besides the digital object identifiers is we've started writing these data management stories. We've interviewed some researchers that have never shared their data before, and talked to them about things that they've created afterwards that help, it's increased their collaboration with somebody across the Gulf, and so we are putting these stories up on our website so people can see what other people are doing in terms of data sharing in the GRIIDC community. We provide use statistics so people know how often their data sets are being used, and then we have a public data set monitoring matrix, so you can go on and see for any of the large research consortia or other researchers how many data sets they've submitted, what stage they're in, and when they're available and ready to go, so you can go in and download them. We require sharing before publishing, and it's tied to their funding. It's in their agreements. They have to do it. So the GRIIDC Research Database, we currently have 627 completed available data sets. So as you can see, from May 2012 up to, this is February 2015, so this month, we've had pretty exponential increase. You'll see a couple of spikes. Those are generally associated with meetings like this one, or when the research board goes and does site visits. So that is kind of the shame and blame part of the whole thing. But we have a lot of researchers and a lot of data sets coming in, and as we add more researchers, it just keeps increasing. So our data, you can come to our website, and actually, I want a homepage. So this is our homepage. So you can come to our website and you can search the data, and then there's the submit, so these are for people coming in to submit their data. It gives them a layout of exactly the process they need to follow to submit their data, and you can monitor the data. So that's that matrix I was telling you about where you can see what everyone's doing. And that's public. That's you don't have to log in for that. To search the data, you will have to log in, but you can do it if you're a GOMRI researcher. You can log in with your GOMRI ID, or you can log in with a Google ID, which is free and open to the public. So anyone, resource managers, the general public, industry can come in and look at the data holdings that we currently have. And so we have our statistics up here, and then below the fold, when you scroll, I didn't know if we'd have internet, so I didn't want to do a live demo of this, but when you scroll, you'll see the news and updates, the stories I was talking about. So when you come in and you click on the search data page, you'll see a little map, and you'll see a list of, so these you can filter by research award or researcher or institution, and you'll see all, this is research awards, so this is all the consortia, and then all the data sets over here to the right. So you can go in, you can use this map to draw a box around an area that you're interested in, and you can find, all the data sets will filter on the right-hand side of the page, so you can look for the data that you're searching for. And then there's a search bar as well where you can type in keywords and search that way. And then once you click on a data set, it'll take you to this, which is the data set landing page. This is where we try to make a page where you find out everything you need to know about the data set you're looking at. So on the map, you can't really see this very well, but there's a bunch of dots here, so that tells where their sampling locations were. It'll give you the title, the UDI, which is our unique identifier. This one doesn't have a DOI yet, but when it does, it'll have that up there. You'll see this one's in NODC, so it's got the accession number, so you could go and find it on NODC's site as well. And its status. There's a couple of tabs down at the bottom that when you go to the site you can click on. You can see all the metadata and the details about the project. And then you'll click, you can on the right, let's see, on this right here, you can't really see that. There's a little box and it says download. You can click on that, that'll download the data set for you. It'll bring up this page. This one, because it's hosted with NODC, will show you where it is on NODC. If it was hosted with us, then you would just click on it and it could download it to your computer. So my conclusions are that sharing scientific data is not universal. Not everyone does it. A lot of people want to hold on to their data. They don't want, there's always the fear of being scooped before you publish. But the more we talk about it and make it easy for people to do, the more likely they are to do it. So the more everybody, especially with funding organizations like GOMRI, come online and ask people to share their data and make them do it, the more often they will. But it is going to cost money. We have a team of about 12 people that work on this project that have developed all these tools and have done all the training and helped all these people. So it takes a lot of money to develop these products, but once they're created, it makes the data sharing a lot easier for everyone. So that's it. I'll take any questions. Yeah?
Is there the capacity to see how many hits, like once you've submitted your data, to see how many hits your data has received, how many people have used it, how many credits
Currently, we are not. That is one of the next things we're actually working on developing. So I want on that data set monitoring page to have like a ticker to see how many times people land on that page and look at the data set, and then how many times it's downloaded.
Okay.
So yeah, those statistics, we have them right now, but we need to make them public. We need to make a way to show them. So we're working on that, but yeah.
All right, not to put you on the spot, and maybe this isn't trackable yet, but do you know of a non-scientist that maybe has downloaded the data and used it in some way? I know that's not something you're specifically tracking, but is there an example?
Not that I know of. I'm not sure.
Could you share, there's some GIS layers that might, could you just share some of the different types of data that are in the database?
Oh, yeah, the GOMRI data is extremely varied. So that's another really interesting aspect of this is, so, places like NODC or GenBank or NCBI, they're looking at a specific grouping of data. So genetics data is in, GenBank or but we have the breadth of data. I mean, we have genetics data, ecology data, fisheries data. We have a group that's creating novel dispersants, so it's data associated with that. We have a lot of modelers, people that do simulations. We have a group that does holography of the water column and how oil droplets are in a column of water. They can create, I think it's like 20 terabytes of data an hour or something doing this data. So yeah, the variability in our data sets is huge.
So are y'all getting data from agencies like water quality monitoring or any of that?
No, it's all GOMRI data right now. We do have one data set from the Texas Parks and Wildlife. What's his name? He was publishing a paper and needed his data to be publicly available. So we have one, but yeah. Yep.
Following up on those speech, is everything right now that's in GRIID-C the raw data?
So yeah, that's a really good question. In some cases it is. What we do is we try to work with the researchers because they ask this question a lot, do I submit my raw data, or do I wait till I QC it and format it a little bit, or do I submit the final products, and so our kind of guidance to them has always been whatever is useful to you and useful to someone else that's trying to use the data. So generally, if you're pulling data directly off a machine, there's going to have to be a little bit of cleanup before anyone would want to use it. And generally that would be on like a proprietary software of some variety or another. So we try to ask that it's in a format that can be used without proprietary software, and that it's, cleaned up a little bit. But yeah, it's either raw data, sometimes it's a whole data package, so it's the raw data and then some of the simulations they created with that raw data. But it just depends on the data set.
Sure, and to follow up with that, and this is going to sound lazy, and I apologize. But with the concept of this specific meeting, part of it is to allow, especially the state folks associated with NERA and the aspects that aren't shareable, to try and piece together a more complete picture of what's going on by taking the publicly available data and then also combining it with our internal NERA data, which doesn't exist. It's right, exactly. It's very difficult to know, with an extremely large data set like your data repository like this, how to account for, say, the manipulations that have to go into changes over time, that type of thing.
Right.
And to combine it with the data set, our individual data sets that we have. So I was wondering also if, is there any posting within GRIID-C or somewhere else within GOMRI of, say, like presentations from the conferences, or the more synthetic handling of the data,
right,
for us to be able to say, hey, you know what, we've got, I'm just making stuff up, guys. We have NERDA data that shows an opposite trend to something that someone showed at one of their projects, or a continuation
right,
that's consistent with the trend that is going on. I'm just trying to figure out how best we utilize GRIID-C as a tool.
Yeah, and we've thought about that as well as having, graphics associated with the data set, so that when someone comes on to a data set landing page, they could see, maybe the graphs from the paper that they created or something. We've thrown that idea around a little bit and talked about how if that would increase usability. And so that is a good suggestion, at least. But we are working on a way to link data sets to their publication, so that when you go to the landing page, you would see the references, so you could at least have that knowledge. But no, we don't have like a housing of all the presentations or anything. Do we, Kevin?
Not on GRIID-C. I think we the program.
Well,
the program does. We do have,
yeah.
from SharePoint.
Okay.
So
so there is that way of getting to it. This actually comes back to something I was talking to Laura about, I think Monday, maybe, which is, it's one thing to, again, have access to the raw data, and I'm not disparaging that at all. I mean, there's an absolute need to house that raw data, but even the idea that the data is public, but then the publications aren't necessarily so. We started running into those where we go to pull up publications and nope, sorry, you need a subscription to whatever or whatever. That if there's something that can be built in that is kind of a middle ground, that would really help us, I think.
Okay.
Even before trying to capture the raw data, I mean, it'd be, if we have raw data, say, associated with NERDO that, we can tie together with other raw data, that's incumbent on us to do that manipulation after going in and pulling out downloading the raw data. But, to be able to go in and see those graphs and then say, hey, you know what, our data continues this trend, so it's worth it for me to do that,
right.
Is a big help in terms of our utility for that information.
Yeah. Thank you. That's a good suggestion.
Anything else for Lauren?